welcome to the second episode of the Art Graduates podcast. This podcast, narrated by artificial intelligence, is the audio version of our online magazine about contemporary visual art. Conversations with artists, collectors, and gallerists about the artist's career, inner motivation, authenticity, and the art market. Please forgive any imperfections in the machine-generated narration. We robots aren't quite perfect yet. Today's guest is Marisa Ravalli, an American curator, art critic, and gallery owner who crossed the Atlantic in the 1990s to help build Prague's independent contemporary art scene from the ground up, and has now returned home to start all over again with her own gallery in the New Mexico desert. You co-founded Futura in Prague in 2003 at a time when independent art spaces were closing down and public funding for the arts was declining. Interestingly, something very similar is happening in the Czech Republic right now. Galleries are struggling economically. Spaces like Caesar in Olomouc and Polanski Gallery are closing. What is the situation like for independent galleries in New Mexico? Is it a supportive environment for art spaces?
Firstly, thank you for asking me to take part in the interview. I'm happy to collaborate on this. There aren't many contemporary fine art private galleries here in Albuquerque. Santa Fe has more and larger privately funded institutions, and the museums there are state-funded. Of course, the situation is difficult everywhere, and there are not many regular art collectors here. Santa Fe has a better situation with a more pedestrian-friendly environment, but business spaces are not readily available, and rent prices are extremely expensive. New Mexicans do enjoy the arts, and there are innumerable artists living and moving here. I have more and more visitors all the time, so the need and want is evident.
Are there any grants or public funding available to support private galleries in the USA?
I can't speak for the whole of New Mexico, as each town and city is different. It seems there may be more chances to find funding in smaller towns, which are trying to start a new art scene. There is funding available at the state level, but it's very competitive, and a private gallery can only apply for funding once it has been running for over 3 years. And it's not guaranteed. Only a few spaces are chosen. There is another source in some smaller towns called Main Street. This is a national organization, and they have funding to do promotions and advertising to try and support small businesses. But private is private, and nonprofits are always given priority, regardless of the actual level and programming. And even these spaces have to seek other means of funding.
Does Donald Trump's current policies affect the gallery scene or the art world in any way?
Where do I even begin to answer that question? It is in every corner, every crevice. There is no avoiding it. It's the first thing we are confronted with when we wake, and the last thing we see before we sleep. Every conversation circles around it, and most artists and arts professionals feel helpless in its wake. It's extremely draining. All we can do is address the issues and fight for our existence and future, support one another to endure this tyranny, and attempt at dictatorship.
The Field of Hearts project, around 180 heartworks created by local teenagers aged 12 to 19, including those incarcerated at the Bernalillo County Juvenile Detention Center, is a very unusual undertaking for a gallery. How did this collaboration come about, and what kind of response did it receive?
How nice of you to ask about that project. I was a brand new gallery and wanted to do something to bring the local community to the arts. It was presented outside the gallery space, so it was accessible day and night and to anyone. We were also freshly under the new governmental regime here, and spirits were very low. I wanted to do the project initially with the local elementary school, but the teachers weren't interested, so I put the word out, and an organizer from a church in Albuquerque was interested in the project. She said they meet once a month with a group of troubled youth, kids living on the streets or in foster care, and detention center inmates. It was amazing working with them, and they all wanted to participate. I liked the idea of putting the power back into their hands and allowing their voices to be heard. These are kids who are always talked down to and ignored. So this was a chance for them to be the creators and the source of inspiration to others. The local community enjoyed touring the field, and it was sad, heartwarming, and inspiring reading all their various responses. I would love to be able to do more projects like this, but now that the gallery is fully running, I barely have enough time to manage the regular program and the space.
Some of your exhibitions feature Czech artists, for instance Anna Hulacheva in the Hive/Buzz show. Do you plan to bring more Czech and European art to New Mexico? And how do you discover and select new artists for your exhibitions?
I would adore to show more Czech and European artists from all over. Right now, I'm showing work from Sharon Kivlin based in the south of France. I've known Sharon for many years, which obviously makes it easier. Due to limited funding, I have to rely on assistance from friends and just manage what I can for each show until I can secure funding and develop a collector base who regularly support the gallery. Until now, I have been curating small group exhibitions with a very focused concept. It's been wonderful connecting different artists who work in a similar way or with similar topics. Most of them had never met or had only heard of each other's work. I try to work closely with the artists, and the shows grow into fruition that way. I also put out open calls in U.S. magazines, and am always open to looking at new work. I manage the shows on an extremely limited budget. It's a miracle I've been able to do what I have so far, and that's also only with help from the artists and their openness to trust in me.
Your partner, Jiří Příhoda, a Jindřich Kalupecký Prize laureate who has collaborated with Brian Eno and exhibited at the Rudolfinum, designed the installation for your opening exhibition, Ladies and Gentlemen. How does your professional collaboration work? Is it easy to work with your partner?
Jirka helps whenever he is here and able. He has his own busy career and lives mostly in Prague. I love his exhibition design sensibility, and we are great at collaboration. One of our first projects together was Music for Prague, a collaboration between Brian Eno and Jirka. I really loved asking artists from other countries to come to a newly opened Czech Republic to collaborate with artists they had never had a chance to see, and vice versa. I'd love to continue doing shows like that, but need better funding to make that happen.
Futura operated for almost 20 years. It grew into one of the largest non-profit art centers in the Czech Republic, with residency programs in Prague, Brooklyn, and the Třebešíce Chateau. What is different for you in building a gallery that is all your own?
The answer is simple: no compromise. It was a bit of a shock starting all this. I guess I just freaked out when Trump was reelected and felt this was the only way I could keep my sanity over the next 4 years. Also, still riding on the coattails of COVID, some people were, and still are, wearing masks into the gallery. It's been slow and hard to get people to come back out and get together for openings. The daily running of the gallery is so easy, and I don't have to answer to anyone. What a pleasure not having to bicker and argue about silly things all the time. I can also deliver on my promises and don't have to make excuses for others' incompetency if something goes wrong. It's all on me. Obviously, it would be nice to have more help. Things have grown so quickly I can barely keep up. I may take on a partner down the line with how things are growing. It's all about the work and getting people in to see it. So amazing to hear all the wonderful feedback every day and meeting so many new people.
Inhabit Gallery has a strong local focus. You support artists from New Mexico and build community in Corrales. At the same time, many young visual artists today rely heavily on Instagram and other social media to build their careers. How do you perceive this dynamic? Does online visibility help the gallery reach a wider audience? Or is the personal, local connection more important to you?
It's definitely a combination of both, and equally important. I believe it's critical to remember the limits of social media and the algorithms. Only those who pay for boosts and sponsored ads will ever get the million-odd followers, and I don't believe in handing out even more money to the billionaires. I don't judge artists' pages based on these numbers or how many likes. I just look at the work and try to ignore the ads. I don't use any kind of social media for myself and don't have time to watch kittens kneading pizza dough. I do love that I can scroll and find new artists whenever I can. However, the in-person experience is what's most important to me. We can't allow art spaces to close down and simply rely on the internet to see art. Art needs to be experienced. Every day, I'm having amazing new conversations in the gallery about the work that's on view. Nothing can replace that. One of the gallery's main goals is to reach a wider public, people who don't normally visit museums or even have an interest in art. I wasn't sure this was possible, but every day someone new wanders inside asking, "What's this about?" I've had people break down in tears, some saying the work has inspired their lives. People are getting more involved, wanting to understand and opening up new discussions. I have to admit, I now spend the majority of my day discussing the work in the shows. I welcome every single person who comes in and tell them, I'm here to answer any and all questions. Dead are the days of the cold, empty white cubes, with only an arrogant, underpaid employee behind a desk. Art is meant to be discussed. I want to create a new kind of gallery experience, one where the viewer doesn't have to be just a viewer, but can also become a participant and develop a relationship with contemporary art.
Thank you for the interview, Marisa. Marisa Ravalli is an American curator, art critic, and gallery owner with over 35 years of experience in the contemporary art world. In the 1990s, she organized landmark exhibitions at Gallery Nova Sign in Prague, including Music for Prague, a collaboration between Brian Eno and Jiří Příhoda, Larry Clark's Kids, and a solo show by Nancy Davidson, among others. In 2003, she conceived and co-founded Futura Center for Contemporary Art, together with Alberto Di Stefano, Camille Hunt, and Eugenio Percosi. Housed in a former factory in Prague's Smíchov district with over 1,000 square meters of exhibition space, Futura grew into one of the most important non-profit centers for contemporary art in Central Europe, operating for nearly 2 decades with residency programs spanning Prague, Brooklyn, and the Třebešíce Chateau. Its opening exhibition, Survey 03, curated with Karel Císař, brought together over 20 Czech artists, and the venue hosted the 2003 Jindřich Kalupecký Prize ceremony, with Václav Havel presenting the award. In December 2024, Ravalli opened Inhabit Gallery in Corrales, New Mexico, an inviting space connecting diverse local and international artists through curated exhibitions, performances, and community engagement. You've been listening to the second episode of the Art Graduates podcast. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms, and don't forget to subscribe. Visit our platform at rtgr.com or artgraduates.com. There, you'll find artist profiles, their work, and direct links to their websites. If you're an artist yourself, you can join for free. We're preparing competitions with an international jury and cash prizes. Take care.